Hello, 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 and welcome to Believe. That's Bleav in Lions right here on Believe Network. I'm your host at Cavanagh87, Jack Cavanagh. I am Jack. I am back, and after a brief ski trip to recharge the batteries, I'm back at the right time because we have so much to talk about around the NFL with the combine in the rearview mirror, with all of these crazy trades and re-signings and just everything around the league. But first, we've got to talk about our friends over at betonline.ag because football season might be over, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. March Madness coming up next week. So, from all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the number one spot for your sports betting needs. So, head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. And it's not just basketball, because BetOnline is your source for hockey and for boxing and for UFC odds from sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts. And the Lions don't have any game starting for quite a while here, but we've got some big news, and I know you've all been waiting. You've all been watching. You've heard everything going on around the league. The number one piece of news around the NFL, Josh Reynolds is back to the Lions. 2 years, up to $12 million. Congratulations to Josh Reynolds. No, that's not the big news? I thought that was pretty big news. Maybe you're talking about Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. I know. I clearly know. I wore my Colorado tuxedo in honor of Denver landing Russell Wilson. So, Seattle receives Drew Lock. They receive Noah Fant. They receive Shelby Harris, who is a strong starting three tech in the NFL. They received 2 first-round picks. They received 2 second-round picks. That's a lot to give up for Russell Wilson. However, there is not a number, not an amount that is too much to give up for an elite quarterback. And I know a lot of people will point to the Matthew Stafford trade last year and say, oh, well, they paid too much. If Stafford can be had for 2 first-round picks, they gave up too much for us. Well, simple economics. When something works, when something is successful, the demand for it often goes up. So we've seen in back-to-back off seasons, Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, goes to the Buccaneers, and wins a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford goes to the Rams from the Lions, wins a Super Bowl. Obviously, the team that wants Russell Wilson is going to pay a premium because we've seen how it works in the past 2 off seasons. And not only that, but Russell Wilson is far younger than Tom Brady. And he's even younger than Matthew Stafford, shockingly enough. I know. I would have guessed Stafford was younger, but it's a couple-month difference in favor of Russell Wilson. So, all of that combined, plus Denver missing out on Aaron Rodgers, which we'll get to in a minute, drove the price tag up pretty damn high for Russell Wilson. The Washington Commanders offered 3 first-round picks, so the price tag went up. And Denver was happy to pay it. And they got Russell Wilson. And if they win a Super Bowl, whoever the next team to try and trade up for a Russell Wilson, for a Matthew Stafford to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be even more expensive. It's just how it works in the NFL, in this copycat league. So, a couple other things coming out of Seattle. We'd heard for weeks, even before this trade, from Michael Sean Duggar of The Athletic that DK Metcalf could be had for a first-round pick. And it's weird, but I get it. Because DK Metcalf's contract is about to expire. So, Seattle either has to pay him, convince him to stay in Seattle on an uncertain roster with no quarterback at the moment, because Drew Lock, not the quarterback for Seattle. How are you going to get DK Metcalf to resign? Why not trade him for a first-round pick? Let the next team figure out his contract. And apparently, Tyler Lockett could be on the block too. That's right. Seattle's going full on rebuild here. They are blowing it up, starting from scratch. Could be looking at new quarterback, new 2 wide receivers, and could be looking at no Rashad Penny as well. Rashad Penny, us Lions fans, we all remember what he did to Detroit late in the season. He was unstoppable. He was untackleable. It was incredible to see a player coming off several devastating lower body injuries return with no difference, with the exact same explosiveness and speed and contact balance as before. So Rashad Penny, he's likely outpriced himself in Seattle. He's probably walking somewhere else. Chris Carson will be the starter if he's healthy. But with neck injuries, we never know how that'll pan out. And everyone's gone now in Seattle because Bobby Wagner, the all-world middle linebacker, has been released. I know. The entire roster, except for Benson Mayowa, a rotational defensive end from that Super Bowl team, is gone. And that's how fast things can happen in the NFL. At one point, you're at top of the world, and the next you're in full rebuild. Just like the Lions are in full rebuild. And I believe this rebuild will pay off for Detroit. We'll see in Seattle if Pete Carroll and John Schneider can rebuild things there. But back to Detroit. We talked about Josh Reynolds signing for 2 years, up to $12 million. Great move by the team. However, a move I'm not so sure about. Tracy Walker was not franchise tagged by the Detroit Lions. I really thought that they might look to use that as leverage to gain more time to work out a long-term deal before free agency. And now I'm starting to worry that Tracy Walker may walk in free agency. He might go somewhere else. And I'm conflicted because we've seen with the Rams that they excel for whatever reason at identifying talent at safety. Maybe Brad Holmes has that same gift. So there's still that hope, but losing such a strong safety, such a strong community member, such an important part of this Detroit Lions locker room, that might make me cry a little bit. That'll make me very upset. Fingers crossed that Tracy Walker, he sniffs around in free agency and realizes that Detroit is home. Because if not, the Lions will be looking for 2 new starting safeties because Dean Marlowe officially said his goodbye to the Detroit Lions earlier this week. So that's at least 1 starting safety that we need to find, and possibly 2 if Tracy Walker is to leave. And it's not just safeties either, because as it stands right now, the Lions need to sign 2 inside linebackers, they will have two new starters at inside linebacker because Captain Mike Alec Anzalone, he's walking. He's already said goodbye to the team. Jalen Reeves Maben, the Will, no deal has been reached yet with him. It's still possible, but as it stands right now, it looks like Derek Barnes will be that Mike for Alex Anzalone, and the Will could be someone in the draft, something that we will talk about going forward on the podcast. Something's got to give at inside linebacker. We'll be looking at two new starters. We're also set to lose Charles Harris, the edge defender that he was a first round bust for many years with the Miami Dolphins. Broke out with the Lions. It would be great to have him back. Of course, he is currently a free agent. Also, Nick Williams, that 3 to 5 tech position, the defensive tackle. He was probably our most effective interior pass rusher. He's a free agent, though. He's about 33 years old, so I don't expect him to be back in Detroit. So that's two new starters on the defensive line. That's two new starters at inside linebacker and two potential new starters at safety. And then we've got Khalif Raymond, too, the wide receiver. And I know that production can probably be replaced pretty easily, but it's still a new starter, a new face on this team. And all of this is without even talking about the big elephant in the room on defense right now, and that's Trey Flowers. So he was given a massive contract by Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, and it really hasn't panned out. And I get it, Trey Flowers, the Lions are better when he's on the field than when he's not. He is one of the premier edge setters, premier run defenders in the NFL when healthy. And that's the big problem is he's not worth his current price tag. And so at the combine, Brad Holmes was asked about Trey Flowers, as was Dan Campbell, and both are pretty tight-lipped on the situation. Brad said it's an open and honest dialogue, decisions to be made. Dan said that it will happen in time. And that's really all we got. So I think it's safe to assume that Trey Flowers is likely gone. And maybe they're waiting for the right time to make that move. And maybe they use some of that money to bring back Charles Harris. Regardless, they will probably be replaced in the draft, Charles Harris and Trey Flowers, because everyone's still expecting that the Lions will take either Aidan Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeaux with the second overall pick. We'll talk about that more later, but looking at the inside of the defensive line, Nick Williams, we know he is going to be replaced by last year's second round pick, Levi Onwuzurike. Lions are expecting big things from him. And one of the linebackers will be replaced by Derek Barnes, last year's fourth round pick. But still, that's two brand new safeties that we've never seen before for the Lions. That's one new linebacker that we've never seen before for the Lions. And at least one wide receiver for the Lions. However, there's been a lot of talk about wide receiver for the Lions. MLive.com's Kyle Mankey says Detroit is prepared to make a heavy investment at wide receiver. And some of the names he mentions, Amari Cooper, who is set to be cut by the Dallas Cowboys. And that does shorten the free agent market a little bit because with Amari Cooper, he's got a $20 million cap hit. He's being cut so the Cowboys can save $16 million. They'll use that money to bring back both Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson. However, Amari Cooper to Detroit sounds pretty attractive, as does a return to Detroit by Allen Robinson. Yes, Detroit native Allen Robinson has been flirting a little bit with the Detroit Lions fan base lately. There's been some tweets. Hey, Allen Robinson, maybe he comes home. Allen Robinson's from Detroit. Allen Robinson, maybe you come home. Allen Robinson, come back. It could be fun. You liked a couple of those tweets. Maybe Allen Robinson is interested in coming home to Detroit and playing for his hometown Detroit Lions. stranger things would happen. Allen Robinson moving from Chicago to Detroit to get revenge on the Bears twice a year. That sure is enticing. I sure could get behind it. Some of the other names that are mentioned linked to the Detroit Lions are restricted free agent Alan Lazard and unrestricted free agent DJ Chark of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Regardless of who it is that ends up on the Lions, we've heard from wide receivers coach Antoine Randall L. that he wants to draft 2 receivers and sign 1 at minimum. And that was in addition to bringing back Josh Reynolds. So, 2 rookie wide receivers, and we'll preview this rookie wide receiver class, everything we learned at the combine next week, this week, sometime soon on the Believe in Lions podcast. But we've got free agency first, and there's a lot to be excited about because even outside the names I've mentioned, Christian Kirk is expected to have a big market. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is expected to have a big market. And then there's some lower key productive names like Jamison Crowder, reliable as heck. Russell Gage with the Atlanta Falcons. Zay Jones, who broke out for the Raiders at the end of the season. Zach Pascal, a very reliable receiver for the Colts. There's a lot of options here and a lot of potential new faces that the Detroit Lions could bring in. And I'm excited. It's a good time to be a Detroit Lions fan because there's so much cap space at the Lions' disposal. They have assets in the draft. There is just so much to be excited for as a Detroit Lions fan over these next coming weeks. Free agency officially kicks off on Wednesday. However, on Monday is when the legal tampering period starts. Everyone knows that teams are already negotiating with players, and the second that the legal tampering period starts, we're going to have deals announced immediately. So keep an eye on that. We will be talking lots about all of the free agent moves to come. Unfortunately, though, one free agent move that will not be coming. Aaron Rodgers will not be leaving the Green Bay Packers. I know. I had really hoped that we would be done with the Aaron Rodgers saga in Green Bay. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to listen to him anymore, deal with his nonsense. But here we are. Aaron Rodgers is signing a 4-year, $200 million contract, will be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at $50 million a year. Now, Aaron Rodgers says this isn't true because, of course, Aaron Rodgers says this isn't true. He says that the numbers and the deal he signed are fake. But he's coming back to Green Bay anyways. He's admitted that. So obviously it's something along these lines. Obviously there's more language to this massive contract Aaron Rodgers signed. And Aaron Rodgers he's doing his I hate the media bit and whatever. Ian Rappaport, I trust you. I think you were probably right on. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, we've got at least another 4 years of listening to you. Devontae Adams will be back with him as well. He's been franchise tagged. However, Jordan Love, likely to be traded at this point. Doesn't sound as though, maybe that's part of the contract. Maybe that's part of the deal that Aaron isn't signing until Jordan Love is gone. Regardless, Jordan Love finding a new home. People have suggested the Lions trade for him. I don't like that at all. I think that would be, I don't know. And why do we think Jordan Love is any more talented than any of the quarterbacks in this draft class? Maybe you can get him at a discount. You also don't get him for as much of a contract. You have a 3-year contract instead of a 5-year contract. So I just don't get trading for Jordan Love. I don't, but maybe the Colts do it. It's something I've heard. That makes a little bit more sense for their timeline. And the Packers also expect to lose Marquez Valdez-Scantling because he's going to price himself out of their market because the Packers are pretty cap-strapped. Aaron Rodgers taking up a lot of money on this salary cap, and so some people are going to have to be cut or moved on from because of it, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling expects to be one of those. Some so-so news in the NFC North. So because it's pretty much the exact same faces as last year. We've got Aaron Rodgers in the with the Green Bay. Obviously, we've got Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears. And as of now, and according to Kevin O'Connell, we've got Kirk Cousins for one more year in Minnesota. They're working on a contract with him, and that working could mean negotiating, finding out his price tag, seeing where he's at. Whatever it means, Kirk is not expected to take a hometown discount for the Vikings. And with a potential rebuild on the horizon for the Vikings, maybe they move on from Kirk Cousins in the end, especially after seeing what some of these quarterbacks are getting on the open market. And by some of these quarterbacks, I mean Carson Wentz. Oh boy. And I admit I'm not the biggest Carson Wentz fan. I think he is prone to catastrophic mistakes, and I think that he is not the most reliable quarterback. However, he's still talented, and he's still going to be the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin has ever played with. And that's undisputable. That's undeniable. We have to accept that. It's just hilarious, as I said on Twitter, and you can check it out at Cavanagh87, my instant reaction to the Carson Wentz trade. It's just hilarious and painful and a roller coaster for this Washington fan base to go from, oh, we almost got Russell Wilson. Yeah, we're making strong offers for Russell Wilson. Oh, could we get Russell Wilson? To Carson Wentz. That is quite the disappointing drop off. And my heart goes out to all those fans of the Washington Commies, the Washington Commanders. They tried to seize the means of production, and instead the Washington Commies ended up with Carson Wentz. Which makes me kind of wonder. First deals or the terms of the deal for Carson Wentz. The Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, will give up a 2022 third-round pick. They will give up a 2023 third-round pick that becomes the second-round pick if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps. Very much a similar deal that the Colts got for Wentz from the Eagles, except instead of a second that can become a first, it's now a third that can become a second. So those are two parts of the deal. Finally, we have the second round pick swap. So Indy moves up 6 slots in the second round of the draft. Now, if Carson Wentz can get this on a bad contract and after completely flaming out with 2 franchises, what can Jared Goff get at this point? Because all the reports out of Detroit and out of the Lions organization is they still like Jared. They love him. He's a great guy to have around. That's worth a little bit more than Carson Wentz, who is probably same talent level as Jared Goff, but one you like to hang out with, one's got an attitude problem. So what could Detroit get for Jared Goff? And would it be worth it? Could the Lions move on from Jared Goff and draft a quarterback with the second overall pick? Who do they trade him to, though? Because there's a lot of teams that still need a quarterback out here. Obviously, the Colts need a quarterback after trading away Carson Wentz. They've been linked to Jimmy Garoppolo. Colts fan base doesn't want that. We'll see what they do. My personal hope for the Colts is they trade up into the first round, go ahead and get Desmond Ridder, the quarterback for the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, because the man is pro ready, the man is talented, the man is smart, and the man is athletic as hell, as we saw at the combine. Desmond Ridder, if you play fantasy football too, if he ends up going in the first round, he is going to be an absolute steal thanks to that athleticism. So we'll talk more about these quarterbacks, more about the combine in the coming days and weeks as we preview this draft class for the Detroit Lions. But Colts need a quarterback. The Saints need a quarterback because Jameis Winston is a free agent and Taysom Hill's not the guy. The Steelers need a quarterback because Ben Roethlisberger has retired and the fan base will vomit profusely if they have to sit through 17 games of Mason Rudolph. The Panthers need a quarterback because Sam Darnold is not the answer, even if they're paying him all this money. And the Buccaneers need a quarterback too, even though they say they're not going to trade for someone. And the Buccaneers say they're not going to sign someone. So if we believe Bruce Arians, which I know, you should never believe Bruce Arians because he is a compulsive liar in the media and we love him for it. But if you believe him, it's going to be Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask at quarterback for the Buccaneers. So that's 5 teams that need a quarterback right now. We've talked about Kirk Cousins, how he is supposed to stay. Maybe a team like this, one of these 5, make a good enough offer for Kirk, or Derek Carr, because the Raiders haven't been all in since Josh McDaniels took over. There's been a lot of, he's our quarterback, we like him a lot, we believe in him, but not, it hasn't seemed as firm as when Josh McDaniels talks about Hunter Renfrow when he gushes. He's going to be a big part of our offense for the foreseeable, or for future. Hunter Renfrow is going to be a big part of what we do as Raiders. Not that same level of enthusiasm about Derek Carr. So maybe he goes to the Indianapolis Colts. There's reports that the Browns have been sniffing around Derek Carr. So I know we've had 3 massive quarterback stories already with Aaron Rodgers, with Carson Wentz, and with Russell Wilson. But there could be even more to come in the next week or 2 with Jimmy Garoppolo and with Derek Carr and with Kirk Cousins and with Jameis Winston, who's a free agent and could sign, and with Marcus Mariota, who's a free agent and could sign to be a starter, and Mitchell Trubisky, who could sign to be a starter. All reports are he's expected to go to New York with the Giants, compete with Daniel Jones, but whatever the case, he could be looking at round 2 of Mitchell Trubisky and round 2 of Marcus Mariota. Just a wild time to be in the NFL. So much going on, so much happening. And so we'll leave you with all of that for now because that's a lot of news to digest. And I'm sure we've got a lot more coming. One final topic to touch on. What do the Lions do with the 2nd overall pick? I ran a poll recently and asked Lions fans what they wanted with that 2nd overall pick. And Aidan Hutchinson is, of course, because we're Lions fans, Michigan bias, Aidan Hutchinson won that poll pretty convincingly. Not too far behind him was Kayvon Thibodeaux. So it appears as though the Lions fan base, #OnePride, has made up their mind that they want an edge defender with the 2nd overall pick. We might not have our choice anymore, though, because there's rumors that as much as the Jaguars want a tackle, need a tackle, even after putting the franchise tag on their left tackle, Cam Robinson, they still need help. They still need a lot of help. So maybe they do go and take a tackle like we hope they do. But reports are heating up that the Jaguars are interested in Aidan Hutchinson. if the Lions don't have their choice between Thibodeaux and Hutchinson, I personally know a lot of heartbroken Detroit Lions fans that are going to be out there. So fingers crossed for that. And now the other two options on my poll were Kyle Hamilton, who is the consensus best safety in this draft. Everyone loves Kyle Hamilton. I love Kyle Hamilton. I think he's an incredible talent. No one out there is saying that he doesn't deserve the hype. At least I haven't found it yet. However, he's still a safety. Safety doesn't get the positional value recognition by the NFL that so many other positions do. When you think about it, Jamal Adams, he was the highest safety drafted before, and he was a top 5 pick, but that's happened once. Eric Berry and Earl Thomas, they both went first round, but even still, nowhere near first or second overall. So we'll see. I personally would prefer an edge defender in my personal pick, Kayvon Thibodeaux, or Aidan Hutchinson over a safety. However, I trust in Brad Holmes. I believe in Brad Holmes. And I think he's going to get the job done no matter what he decides. But it appears as though Lions fans won't be too happy if Detroit takes a quarterback at 2. That's something I'm okay with. I'm a big fan of Malik Willis. I know he's a project, but 6 foot, 220 pounds. The man is thick. 1,800 rushing yards over the past 2 seasons at Liberty. The man is athletic. Did you see him throw at the combine? Did you watch him play at Liberty? Because if you did, you'd know he has a cannon for an arm, but oftentimes his receivers just let him down. Malik Willis, with the 2nd overall pick, if it happens, I'm not going to be upset because I trust in Brad Holmes. I trust in this new Lions front office. I'm excited for the future of the Detroit Lions. And so I don't know if the win totals are out yet by our friends over on betonline.ag. Thank you, BetOnline, for sponsoring the show. I think you should probably take the Detroit Lions to hit their over in 2022. So, with that in mind, we will see you soon. We will bring you all of the updates for news around the NFL. We will break down this rookie draft class. We will break down all things free agency. And so, I will see you next time.